I'll never forget the night of pure horror at this beach condo I was doing a construction clean at. For most of the day, it was just me and my buddy until he had to leave a little earlier to pick up his wife at the airport. It was no problem at all because there was only a few more minor things to take care of, and it was so beautiful out here at night, so I didn't mind. I walked out to the front porch and sat down, lit up a cigarette, and gazed at the tide, lazily lapping at the shoreline, with the satisfaction of another prosperous day. I sat there in deep meditative thought until the sun was completely hidden, and while I was getting up, I saw something dark and shadowy making its way up the shore to my left. Normally, there are people here and there walking along the water, enjoying the scenery, but this was odd to say the least. Whatever or whoever it was shambled along with a floaty strut and seemed to not quite keep an exact shape. Whenever I thought it would be a human, I thought that I could see more than just two legs, and then more than just two arms. But I couldn't quite make out the head. It was actually pretty far away still, and it seemed like there were fireflies swirling around its complicated figure with a swampy green glowing ghastly against the night sky. At this point, friends and neighbors, I don't know what the hell I was looking at. It seemed to stop moving as I was making my way back through the door. It just stood there, marking me, so to speak. I could feel its calculated gaze on me. I suddenly felt pretty damn scared. I went back inside, locked the door, and started to gather my cleaning equipment. I went to the back room to grab the stepladder, and as I made my way back to the living room, all four windows at the front and sides of the room were covered with those ghastly green flies. I nearly shat myself with disbelief. I couldn't move, and out of nowhere and everywhere an inhuman cackling mixed with a buzzing wail erupted around the house with the power of a bullhorn. What in God's name was out there? As I pulled my hands away from my ears from that god-awful sound, that stark figure appeared in the window but further out in the sand. The fireflies dispersed from the other windows to whatever the hell that was standing out there, again lazily swarming around it. As I was slowly walking backwards into the kitchen, I was reaching into my pocket for my phone, but shit, I may have left it outside, I thought. I ran into the back room to check if it was in there. None of the windows had blinds on them yet, and I felt completely exposed. Entering the room, I frantically looked around for it, but no dice. Where in the hell did I leave it? Tap, tap. I glanced up at the window, and there it was, standing there, like a smudge against reality. It was all dark at first, and then it lit up like a Christmas tree. Good God, I think it was giving me a glimpse of its true form. The body was dark, reptilian green, and scaly. It seemed to have many arms flailing about its long, muscular torso, but the head was a huge, round maelstrom of glowing insects crawling madly about with blind idiocy, liking to a feeding frenzy of maggots. Dear God, what on earth was this? Why on earth was this happening? I didn't know what else to do but stand there and gawk in horror and amazement. Suddenly a low, guttural voice pierced through the window, making it rumble. "'Tis I, the great light bringer's companion, the eldest of the Naga, that tempted Eve on a still and golden dawn." I started to step back, as that ancient thing began to laugh its malignant cackle. And at the blink of an eye, what replaced the twitching circle of flies was a towering head of a cobra, glaring back at me with fiery red eyes of the purest evil. It flicked its forked tongue out at me, and that's when I started to scream. And all I remember was glass shattering as I fell backwards, thumping the back of my head pretty hard, while hundreds to thousands of fireflies burst forth through the window, a blustering swarm of green dots and wild buzzing, as I spiraled into darkness, and then oblivion. I woke up to my buddy smacking me in the face and calling my name until I finally came to. Before I could say anything, he told me as I was pulling. He told me as he was pulling in to check if all the doors were locked on the condo, because it was on his way, just to make sure I locked them before I had left. He told me as he was pulling in the driveway, his headlights revealed a huge lumbering serpent-like thing at the window, surrounded by a bunch of green glowing dots. His wife screamed, and that's when it took off into the sky, literally, like a bat out of hell, up and over the tree line. He had went to check on his wife, and all she could do was stumble over her words while staring at the dark trees. My buddy stood there in silence as the cicadas suddenly stopped their buzzing cacophony. It became deathly silent as a tall and foreboding figure stepped out from between the trees. From what he could make out, after his eyes adjusted, was that the mysterious figure was clad in green scaly armor and a helmet adorned with great and tall antlers. Its eyes shone with a piercingly green as the fireflies that swarmed around it scattered into the dark foliage, becoming nearly a dozen or more sets of eyes, the same height as the armored figure and its horse. The antlered entity raised a bejeweled horn to its lips and blew a braying, ear-shattering blast, as if it was the horn god himself, Hearn, leading the wild hunt on a soul-snatching free-for-all. They dispersed through the trees and foliage, aiming directly for my friend and his wife, as he was scrambling to get away. She reached for their gun that was in the glove compartment and blindly let off 2 shots towards the oncoming stampede. And within a blink of an eye, the horses and its riders exploded into a swarm of green flying dots that hung suspended in the air for a brief moment, then collided unto themselves and out of existence, leaving a fading, echoing laugh in its wake. All we really could do was gather ourselves along with what little sanity we had left and got out of there. I wish I had more information on what that thing was and why it decided to blast my sense of reality, but I do not. All we could do was get on with our lives as best as we could. My buddy tends to drink a lot more, and his marriage has had its problems due to his and his wife's coping mechanisms, but I don't blame them one bit. Even I have had my mishaps and shortcomings throughout this maddening ordeal. Pray for us, please, and thank you for listening. Thank you.